What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I have my esteemed guest here with me today, Pat Guy. How you doing?
I'm fantastic, Alex. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm
Um,
great.
we kind of get together every once in a while to talk some James Bond on this channel. I haven't talked about Bond for a while. I know in 2022 I wanted to do a lot of 60th anniversary stuff that just didn't happen, and then last year I said I was gonna try and continue that. That didn't happen, but this year happens to be the 60th anniversary of Goldfinger, so I figured, hey, this is the perfect opportunity to celebrate a 60th anniversary again. So we're gonna get back on the train. We'll probably have some other guests on these videos as well. I have a friend who's a big Bond fan that I want to bring on some of these videos with us as well. But today we're going to be ranking the pre-title sequences. So the scenes right before the credits, those big sequences that really try and wrap you into a Bond movie, that try and get you excited about this adventure Bond's going to go on. There are 24 of them, so we're going to rank them. I'm going to start with you as always since you're my guest. What is your number 24?
At the very bottom of the list, and some people probably definitely disagree with me. But yeah, Quantum of Solaces is the worst pre-title
Yeah.
sequence for me because I don't even know what's happening. It's a high octane action sequence. I like the concept of it. You're immediately launched into a car chase after the end of Casino Royale.
Yeah.
Cool idea for like a direct follow-up.
Yeah.
The problem is the editing of this scene
Yeah.
is so atrocious. It's dizzying, it's just
Yeah.
nauseating, it's
Yeah.
hard to tell what's happening. It just takes every ounce of coolness from the opening that could be there and just
Mhm.
gets rid of it. And the thing too is for if you're gonna start a big Bond movie with a big action scene, you should have at least one memorable moment in that
It
opening that
doesn't.
I'm gonna remember. It's just a really poorly edited car chase through a tunnel and then through a
Which
quarry.
Yeah,
But
which I feel like it would probably have a memorable moment if it was edited properly.
maybe I didn't see any moves with the car that was, like,
No,
really
yeah,
cool,
I
you know,
know.
like,
Yeah, I know, yeah. I mean, here's my thing. It has like it's grown on me on recent years, but then when I did this list, I was like, wait a minute. Was I just convincing myself that it did?
right.
So I mean, I'm not gonna say it's high up on my list, but I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say
I couldn't put it any higher than the very bottom because even the other ones, the ones that I'm not big fans of, I
yeah,
can at least tell what's happening.
that's true.
You
Yeah,
know, like, this one
yeah.
is so, like and it gives you a hint of what the movie's gonna be like because so
Yeah,
much of it
a
looks like it's so scary.
choppily edited mess.
Yeah, like, it's like, "Okay, I guess we're in for a fast-paced, impossible to see what's happening type of movie," but
Yeah, yeah, it reminds me of that action scene, like, where Mitchell is revealed to be, like, the traitor, and,
oh,
um, and, like, you can't even
the
see
horse
that,
race.
like, M dodges the bullet, like, it bounces off the pole or something, and then yeah, it reminds me of that. It's not very well edited. It's low on my list, but we'll get
Concept was cool, execution super poor.
yeah, okay. Number 24 on my list. So I'm just gonna say this right now. I should have said this actually from the beginning. These aren't gonna be indicative of like where our placements of the movies are in our rankings. Um, but this one is because Diamonds Are Forever
How dare you?
is my least favorite Bond movie. It's my least favorite pre-title sequence. Here's why. Because it's a cool concept. The pre-title sequence of Diamonds Are Forever sets up and promises a movie that never comes. You're following off the ending of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, where Bond's wife is brutally murdered by Irma Bunt and Blofeld in a drive-by. This movie begins, obviously, like it's not Lazenby. You have Connery coming back, but this movie begins with Bond, Connery's voice, because they had the weird ADR where he's like, "Where is she? I shan't have to ask you again." And
Cairo!
yeah, and so it's him going after the people who have connections with Blofeld, whether they're Spectre agents or whatever it may be. So I'm like, okay, we're going full revenge here. We're going for a full on revenge Bond flick, but the movie never delivers on that. This
No,
pre-title sequence promises that, and it doesn't do that. You can still have Blofeld doing his little Blofeld Spectre schemes in the background, but like it should have been Bond getting revenge against Irma Bunt and Blofeld. I understand why they couldn't bring Irma Bunt back because the actress who played Irma Bunt died in between Majesties and Diamonds Are Forever. So that probably ruined their plans a little bit. But if you're gonna have a pre-title sequence like this, where it feels like just the vibe of the pre-title sequence is giving off a straightforward revenge flick for Bond to go after the people that just killed his wife, I feel like you have to follow through on that in the movie. And it didn't. It's a promise that is never kept. It's a promise that isn't fulfilled. I don't like any of the editing in this too. Like what you just mentioned, where he's like Cairo, like the guy's mouth isn't even moving.
No.
I hate there's like this like when he slaps the woman right before he slaps the woman, there's like this weird jolt, in the picture. It's for the time, like I get it, it's 1971, but still it's not well made either. So
Sure.
that's why it's at the bottom for me.
Well, this is my number 23, so we could just keep talking about
Okay,
it.
yeah, you got it.
Um,
Go ahead, yeah.
so I have become something of a Diamonds Are Forever defender in
Yeah,
recent
I was
years.
surprised in our ranking when
I
you
mean, it's still, like, in my bottom 5 Bond movies, but,
yeah.
like, it's one that I have a lot more fun with now that I kind of have accepted that I mean, I understand the complaint. I fully agree with you that this movie in general would be much better if it didn't completely ignore On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but it
Yeah,
does. It doesn't bring up Tracy. Like,
yeah.
I don't even think of it as a follow-up to Diamonds Are Forever. I mean,
No,
On Her
but
Majesty's
it's weird because this is like the final part of the unofficial Blofeld trilogy with You Only Live Twice, Majesties, Diamonds. Like I get it. Like it's like, oh, you go from Lazenby to not Craig, Connery.
Connery.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so we're just going back to kind of living
I mean,
You Only Live
they
Twice.
they went kind of experimental with On Her Majesty's Secret Service,
Yeah,
and to them, it didn't really pan out the way they wanted
right,
it to, as
right,
far as Lazenby, as far as the
right.
movie itself. They definitely there's a huge effort in Diamonds Are Forever in general to kind of bring it back to, like, the Goldfinger,
Right.
Guy Hamilton's
Yeah.
directing, Sean Connery's back. It's gonna be fun, it's not gonna be tragic, it's gonna be a little goofy, like, there's
Yeah.
definitely that, but yeah, this pre-title sequence if this was like a real sequel to On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and it was Bond on a war path to get the Blofeld,
Yeah.
like, yeah, this would be way more effective, and it is just choppily put together,
Yeah.
it's kinda weird. I think of Diamonds Are Forever as a movie that, in my own headcanon, just comes after You Only Live Twice because he's in
Well,
Japan,
that
he's
well
already in Asia,
yeah, well,
like,
that's the thing, like, 'cause I forgot to mention when I was talking about it, like, people are gonna be like, "Well, that's not really the point," and, like, it's not supposed to be following up Majesties, it's supposed to be following up You Only Live Twice, so he's getting revenge on Blofeld since he's already in Asia, and it's like, that's meant to be
yeah,
the tie-in to
he's looking for Blofeld rather than trying to avenge his wife, like
yeah,
whatever way it is a disappointing follow-up if you're looking at it as a sequel to On Her Majesty's Secret
yeah,
Service. As a self-contained, campier, kind of goofy Bond movie, I dig it, but yeah, the pre-title sequence, I think you're right. It does promise kind of a more harder edge Bond, but the
yeah.
moment he kills Blofeld, quote unquote, in kind of the goofiest way possible, where he like pours him
"What the
into
hell,
like
Blofeld?"
goop. I do like the way it ends though. I like ending on his death with like his cat there all sad with the
Yeah,
diamond
yeah,
necklace.
yeah, it's great, yeah, it's
But
great.
yeah, it's not a strong pre-title. It doesn't have a memorable action beat.
No,
It's just very kind of like
no,
he goes here, he goes here, he goes here, he finds
yeah,
Blofeld, he puts him in goop, and it's over. Like
yeah,
it's not very strong, but
yeah.
it is what it is.
Alright, my number 23 might shock you with how much I defend this movie.
Is it
Spec
world's not enough?
Spectre.
Spectre, okay. Oh yeah, oh
Okay,
yeah.
I love the tracking shot, like, I love the tracking shot of, like, going through the parade, and then, like, you see Marco Sciarra, walking through the parade, and then and then the camera pans over to Bond and, Estrella, and they're walking through the parade and into the hotel room, and he just abandons her, and she's like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "I won't be long," and he's on the rooftop, and you have the Bond theme playing. I'm like, because at that moment, I'm like, "Okay, this is Craig finally becoming, like, classic Bond." But once the action in this scene kicks off, it's boring. There's nothing memorable about this, like, he chases him through the streets, like, I mean, I guess the first part of it's okay, where he shoots the guys through the building comes tumbling down, once he gets onto the streets and he starts chasing Skiara and he gets into the helicopter, there's nothing memorable with the helicopter thing. A lot of the music in this sequence is reused from Skyfall, which I know composers reuse a lot of their previous scores a lot for if they're scoring a franchise movie. I'm not a huge fan of that with this. I just think it didn't add anything new. It just this was a bad omen for the action scenes in this movie to prove to you that Sam Mendes just didn't want to make this movie. I think they had to switch a lot of things around with what they were going to do because Craig had a massive leg injury, so they couldn't do some of the things that they really wanted to do. There's, like you said, like I feel like a pre-title sequence for Bond has to have that one moment that sticks out, and there's nothing really once the action kicks off in this one that has it stick out for me. It just
Mm.
feels like, oh, this is like a typical Saturday morning for Bond, you know? All right, what's your number 22?
My number 22 is View to a Kill.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Okay, all right.
I am not a fan of this opening. I think it leads to one of the best songs in Bond history, but the opening is yet another Roger Moore skiing scene, which we have many superior
You
ones.
I mean, you can my problem with this one is you confuse it so much with, The Spy Who Loved Me.
I don't, because this is terrible compared to that one.
I know.
So this one has the part I can't forget. First of all, you see Roger Moore for the first time in this movie. He looks ancient, alright? He's ancient. He's in a like, and so he
Dude was 60, man.
yeah, this is the one where he like finds like a dead operative in the snow or whatever, and like eventually it becomes like a snowboarding
I
sequence, which is like
wish they all could. I hate
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yep.
It leads to what the Beach Boys, and it's
Yeah,
like
which
it's awful.
songs like that should not be present in a Bond.
No, it's so awful, and, like, sure, it does mix it up by, like, becoming snowboarding instead of skiing, but between the Beach Boys and then
Yeah.
also he gets to the iceberg submarine with the woman, and I'm like, "I don't this isn't the best way to start a Bond
Yeah, the
movie,"
Union
like
Jack top.
yeah, I'm not a fan of it, never have been. I don't
I'll have more to say on it later 'cause it's
is your number 2?
no. It's low on my list, but it's not as low as you.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
I'm just not a fan of it, never have been.
yeah. My number 22, this might shock you too, because I think it's the best part, one of the best parts of a movie that we really hate. Die Another Day.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I
Um,
can see that, I can
yep.
see that.
I hate Bond surfing into North Korea.
How else you supposed to get there?
um, it just feels like a lot of it just feels like explosions. Michael Bay. Oh, look, CGI diamonds in somebody's face. Again, another bad omen. The hovercraft chase isn't the most ridiculous thing. It's still ridiculous though. Like this, it proved that it just accompanied like an era of like early 2000s action movies and like superhero movies that just like didn't give a shit. They were just like as campy as they could be. They were just as stupid as they could be. This movie sets up like the fact that Colonel Moon is in this and then he comes back later as a white guy, Gustav Graves. I just hate that that's the setup for this movie. If this whole action sequence was actually like the setup for if this whole movie actually just revolved around Bond finding a mole in MI6 and none of the Gustav Graves stuff, this opening would be amazing. But
Mm.
that's not the case here. Like there's bigger picture implications here with this pre-title sequence, and I just don't like it. Like I don't love the whole where the hell does Colonel Moon get that flamethrower on the hovercraft?
I think it's just on the hovercraft, yeah.
Yeah, which I remember on the DVD selection, scenes, it was called, like, a hovercraft on fire or something.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
Oh, yeah, when scene selections had, like,
yeah,
names.
yeah.
That was the
Um,
best, dude.
yeah, those were the good old days.
Yeah,
Uh,
the little table of contents inside the DVD
yeah,
case.
it's never been a thing in me, it's never been one of my favorites, and something I noticed, I don't know if this was in the theatrical version that was released in theaters, but the DVD and the Blu-ray there's a musical cue that's missing. So I'm like, did they George Lucas this thing? So
Oh,
when he's
maybe.
surfing into North Korea in the beginning on the DVD, there's no music. And then Same scene on the Blu-ray, they add in "Dun, dun, 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 dun." I'm like, "This is our big Bond moment introducing us to Bond." I'm like, "No, no." It works so much better without the music, and it's just one thing from the Blu-ray that's always bothered me, and I think it brings it down for me because of that.
Alright, alright.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be talking about the That Other Day pre-title sequence way later, so
Alright.
yeah.
So what's 21 for you then?
21, let's see. On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh, wow. That's wow. Okay.
I really like this movie nowadays overall, I think it's very underrated. The pre-title sequence, I'm not a big fan of. I think it's pretty boring, it's pretty, like,
Yeah,
"wah, wah"
whatever.
for, like, the whole movie.
Y You know what?
Bond sees Tracy trying to drown herself, he saves her, he has his introductory moment, my friends call me James Bond, whatever,
This never
and
happens to the other fellow.
yeah, this never happens to the other fellow, it's just and he beats up some dudes, like, by the boats, like, it's fine, it's just kind of
Yeah.
blah.
This is gonna be well, I'll talk about it more in a minute, because I considered putting it this low, but there's just shots that I think are very striking to me in this.
Sure, oh, yeah, yeah, his,
Yeah.
like, the cigarette and
Yeah.
the
Yeah, so
car
I think that's
ride.
why it's a little bit higher up on my list,
I
but
mean,
yeah.
yeah, On Her Majesty's Secret Service is a beautifully shot movie, so it's
Oh,
got
yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, though, like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have that, like, signature moment, too.
No, it's just very, like, low-key, kind of
And
like blah.
the thing I hate about that fight on the beach, too, is it's seen from a distance, like, there's no, like, big close up of, like, Lazenby, like, actually, like, laying the guy out or anything.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
he's good at the fight scene, so
yeah.
they should have really given more, attention to it, I don't know. It just
Yeah.
never really sticks out to me, that's that
Yeah. Alright, what are we on, 21?
Yeah, you're 21.
Quantum of Solace. This probably would have been higher up, like, 2 days ago
Oh,
because
really?
yeah, because this is actually a pre-title sequence, like I was saying when you were talking about it, that has slightly kinda grown on me,
Mhm.
um, but then I just convinced myself it hasn't grown on me as much as I think. Because, yeah, it's choppily edited. You can't tell what the hell's going on. I don't understand the argument that people are like, well, you're not supposed to understand what's going on because it's Bond's psychosis. Like, he's going through like an adrenaline rush. I'm like, yeah, but I should honestly be able to see what Bond is doing in the car.
Right.
Like, when
Right,
he
like,
loses,
it's like
like, when
people
he
saying
loses
like,
a
"Oh,
freaking
this
door.
is supposed to make you feel like you're in the car and it's a car crash." I'm like,
Yeah.
"I don't wanna feel like I'm in a car crash when I'm trying to watch the movie."
Exactly. It's like I'm he apparently like there's a I think there's like a truck or something that he drives by in the first one that has like those like things that stick out and
Yeah,
like
it gets
apparently
stuck.
they hit his door off. I'm like I didn't even see his door come off, you know. I think it gets slightly better once they get to the quarry. I think it's filmed a little bit better there because they don't use as many handhelds, but the first half of this thing I'm just like can we stop with the shaky cam? We don't need every movie now to look like a Jason Bourne wannabe, you know, because that was the thing. Bourne was big at this time. They were like, oh, well, shaky handheld cam, let's do it because the Bourne movies are popular. So they decided to do that, and it just it doesn't make the action any like really exciting. Like I'll give credit where credit is due. The boat chase I think is actually pretty good. The car chase, while it's slightly growing on me, it hasn't. I'm not convinced that it's quite fully there yet. I don't understand the renaissance with both the movie and the car chase and like just how people defend that as being like Bond psychosis and him on like an adrenaline rush just out to like on a revenge spree to kill people. So it's very poorly edited. It's wicked short too. I hate the stupid freeze frame right before when he's like, "It's time to get out," and then there's like a freeze frame right before the song starts. I'll talk about another freeze frame in a minute, but yeah, Quantum's number 21 for me. Number 20 for you.
You only live twice.
Okay, that's my 19.
Um, it's just kinda boring, it's pretty quick and boring, it's like Bond dies, and, like, that's cool, it's a cool way to, like, set up the theme of the movie and stuff, but, like, they coulda done it in a more exciting way instead of, like, he lays in a bed, he
Yeah.
gets shot.
In a folding bed that goes into the
Yeah,
he
he
fall
gets
asleep.
folded up, some guys come in, they machine gun him, and he's, like, dead, and it's like, yeah, that's cool, but, like, you could have done it, like, a more like, he could have been on a mission, like, an exciting mission and
Yeah,
died.
instead he's just sleeping with a girl.
Yeah, it's like it's kinda like, you could have made this cool. It could have been like Skyfall waterfall when he gets shot or something, like,
Yeah,
make it, like, an exciting way to kill him.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
yeah, I've never really liked it, it's pretty bland.
My number 20, For Your Eyes Only.
I think that's my number 19.
So origin
That's my number 19,
so
we
we're
flip
just reversed on yeah,
yeah.
For Your Eyes Only is probably the most, like it's a good Bond movie, but everything that, like, I see in it, the moment it ends, we both had this effect. It like, we don't remember it. And I
Yeah,
was like
very
and,
fair.
like, I was going through my list and I said, "Oh, yeah, I remember, like, every, like, pre-title sequence." And then I said, "Wait a minute. What's the pre-title sequence for Your Eyes Only?" So
No,
I
yeah,
think
dude.
that's my big problem too. It's that
Yeah.
it's instantly forgettable, and this is when they didn't have the rights to Spectre, Blofeld because of that whole Kevin McClory, Ian Fleming lawsuit thing. But you can clearly tell the guy in the wheelchair is Blofeld,
Sure,
you
yeah,
know.
right. Yeah.
So
Mr. Bond!
Mr. Bond.
Yeah, I hate this Blofeld, and he's only
Yeah,
in it for
he's
like 2 minutes.
awful. He
I
is
hate
so
him.
awful. And then he dies in the most campy way possible. Bond just takes like the helicopter leg, like stat somehow the wheelchair gets stuck on there. I don't know how, and then drops him down a smokestack. And apparently Blofeld's dead.
I
I
will buy you a delicatessen. So bad.
I love the first shot of the that pre-title sequence though with Bond visiting Tracy's grave.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, my thing
I think that's a nice way to connect the continuity of like the
yes.
Connery, Lazenby era of Bond all together, you know?
My thing with and I'll just get into it since it was my 19.
Yeah.
This one for me is I appreciate the real helicopter stunt work that was
Yeah.
done. Like it's super
It's great.
impressive
Yeah.
in some parts, but yeah, they in what kind of helps my defense of Diamonds Are Forever in general. This feels like it's actually trying to be a direct sequel to On Her Majesty's Secret Service in a way because
Yeah.
Blofeld's got the neck brace, It's the and the problem is like it's like a fun little concept, but the Blofeld is so goofy and like
Yeah. That's the
weird.
thing. It doesn't feel like Blofeld.
No, and they juxtapose that like the scene starts with Bond visiting Tracy's grave, and it's like, oh, this is gonna be dramatic and stuff, and then you have this Blofeld who's like, I'll buy you a delicatessen,
Well,
like
and then right after the titles, you have Melina Havelock's like family getting murdered. I'm like,
yes, like this. If you wanted to do, which is the problem I have with Fear Eyes Only in general, but they kind of half-ass all the revenge stuff in it.
yeah,
Like it's supposed to be like, oh, if they really connected it to Honor Majesty's Secret Service, and the
mhm,
movie started with Bond killing Blofeld in revenge in like a serious way,
yeah,
and then the movie is about him getting over his revenge and helping her, like
yeah,
that's fine. But that's not really what the movie is, and
right,
that's not really
right,
what this opening is.
right,
It's got the same problem with me as your Diamonds Are Forever does with you. I feel like this doesn't really set up the movie it's gonna
right,
be well.
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's
yeah,
kind of a half-assed way to just kinda get rid of Blofeld. I never
yeah.
liked
Yeah, I guess I'll talk about You Only Live Twice since that's my 19 since we kind of had them reversed. Yeah, I think my thing with You Only Live Twice is like the same thing. Like it's not very memorable. Like I mean, I totally forgot about the first half of this where Bond or not Bond, Blofeld I can't speak. Captures the capsule in space. It kind of sets up this like sci-fi element too. That
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if the Bond franchise was quite ready to go like that sci-fi because you have the whole volcano thing, possibly space, like he's stealing all these nuclear warheads in space, and I'm just like, yeah, and then again, like you said, like Bond could have went out in a cooler way if he's gonna fake his death.
Yep,
So,
100%.
yep, 18 for you.
The Man with the Golden Gun.
Oh, you're killing me.
It's one of the rare Bond pre-title sequences that doesn't have Bond technically, like, in
That's
it.
true. That's true.
There's a few of those that kinda set up the bad guy more than they set up Bond,
Yeah.
and I like this one. I like the mobster who, in my headcanon, because he's played by the same actor, this is the mobster from Diamonds Are Forever.
Yep. Yep.
And he
Yep.
comes to Scaramouche's Island, and Nick Nack is
It
like,
can
"Oh, yes,
all
yes,
be yours.
yeah, if you kill him, all this will be mine." And, like, I love Nick Nack in general, but Nick Nack having this guy come to kill Scaramanga only for it to turn out to be like a test for Scaramanga to like test himself. Like
Yeah.
that's all cool. I love all Scaramanga's great. They set up a lot like of like what comes in the last chunk of the movie between him and Bond's duel.
Mhm.
Like I think it's pretty effective, and I love the way it ends where you see that he has a Bond mannequin, so like he knows who Bond is. Like I love that. I don't know where he got a
Off the
Roger Moore
fingers. Yeah.
mannequin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How does he?
I
Yeah.
don't
How
know.
the fuck does he know what Bond looks like?
I don't know, but he's gonna regret having that mannequin in the future. So it's goofy, but that's what Man with the Golden Gun is. It's
Oh,
goofy.
yeah. As you once said, there's the Goofy movie, and then this is a Goofy movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I love it.
Number 18 for me, Octopussy.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kills it for me is the final 10 seconds where he's like, fill her up, please. But then there's a freeze frame, and all of a sudden you just hear, "Wah!" it feels like a porn parody. Like that's what kills it for me,
Fill her up, please.
honestly. And this is one of those rare ones too, because there's two types of Bond pre-title sequences. Ones that are kind of detached from the story that the movie's trying to tell at hand, and then there's ones that connect to the actual story that is going to be told. This one's
Sure.
just like its own self-contained mission, similar to Goldfinger. And I don't know, like coming off of For Your Eyes Only, where For Your Eyes Only was an attempt to have Roger Moore kind of go back to like something like Live and Let Die or The Spy Who Loved Me, where it wasn't as goofy, it was a little bit more serious, and then we just kind of go back to the goofball antics. Uh yeah, just following up that from For Your Eyes Only is just kind of jarring to me. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, that freeze frame bothers me. I don't know why it does. It's like the freeze frame at the end of Prisoner of Azkaban for me.
Sure.
It just bothers me. I don't know why it does. All right, what's next? 17.
17. Yeah, I have Spectre at 17.
Okay.
I think it's a solid opening. I don't hate it like you do. I think I love the start of it. I love the Day of the Dead kind of like setting. It's pretty memorable in that regard. I do like how it's kind of Daniel Craig being like on a classic Bond mission.
Yeah.
I don't mind a lot of like you don't like the helicopter stuff or like that's
Yeah.
I don't none of that stuff really bothers me. I don't think it's super strong, but I don't think any of the action in Spectre is particularly good.
Yeah.
So like I think it's probably the best action scene maybe, except for maybe the train fight like
Yeah.
in the movie, because the
Yeah.
rest of it's very not okay.
Oh, you didn't like that car commercial?
I didn't like the car commercial. I didn't like the really boring skiing airplane sequence. I didn't like him shooting down Blofeld with a pistol. I didn't like any of that stuff. So this was probably the best one. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's not great. It's bland, but like it pretty much tells you, yeah, Spectre is gonna be bland.
I feel like
So
I guess I could see too where it's like where he's walking on the rooftops and you have like the remnants of the Bond theme playing where it's like
yeah, that's cool.
like
That's
like it
cool.
feels like it's getting you hyped.
Where are you going?
I won't be long.
And then
Yeah,
it's
and then it does.
massive letdown.
Yeah, it's kind of there. It's just
Yeah.
like I like it like him getting the Spectre ring and it like zooms into the ring. Like that's cool. But
Yeah.
like the overall the scene's just kind of okay to me. It's not
Yeah.
great.
My number 17 is A View to a Kill. Um This one, as I say, it's for anybody who's a casual fan of Bond. And you're like, wait a minute, didn't I just see this one like when we watched them like a day ago? It's like, no, The Spy Who Loved Me and A View to a Kill have very similar opening sequences, and I think that that's a very very big detriment to A View to a Kill. And the Beach Boys song kills it. The fact that it's like you were saying, like a 60-year-old like Roger Moore, and then you can obviously tell when it's a stunt double or when it's Roger Moore. Like, is this the one where he's like, where the skis turn into the like the snowboard, and he like,
Well, yeah, he loses a ski and
yeah,
then
he
uses
loses
the
the
other one.
ski, and then
Yeah.
he goes up like the cliff, hits the guy, and then comes back down, surfs on the water. I wish they all could. Yeah, that because that's when it started. What that whole thing kills it because I'm like, why? Like, there's not really like songs like that in Bond. Like, sure, there'll be like No Time to Die in the background at the beginning. Like you have like that French song that's playing when Safin's going into what's her name's house,
Yeah,
Madeline's
but
house.
like that's like playing in the house, right? Like
Exactly.
it's
That's
yeah,
the thing. It's
that's the
not.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's not. That's part of the soundtrack. Like it's
Yeah.
not. Yeah, it's not just thrown in there. You know.
No.
And I just think it's so stupid how the submarine's an iceberg or disguised as an iceberg rather. There's just not much. There's not much to differentiate it between The Spy Who Loved Me's opening and this, except this is
Except
more
that Spy
goofy.
Who Loved Me is amazing.
Exactly, and this is more goofy.
Yeah.
What is your 16?
My 16 is Live and Let Die.
Okay.
Which is the one that has no Bond whatsoever and no even like hint at Bond, no mannequin of Bond, no
Yeah.
fake Bond. It's just the bad guys set up. But it's cool. It's very like interesting. Like I love the funeral in New Orleans where it's like, whose funeral is it?
Yours.
Yeah, it's Stab's like I love that shit. Like that's
Yeah.
awesome. And like
Yeah.
you get to see like hints of where Bond's gonna be going later in the movie.
Yeah.
And I really like that. You see like the island, you see New
United
Orleans, you
Nations.
see New
Yeah.
York. Like
Yeah.
it's cool how they set it up. And I just really enjoy that movie in general. But I've always liked this opening and the way it sets up the villains. So that's why I got it this up.
All right.
You better not, Alex. I swear to God, if you're
You're
about
gonna
to
kill
say it,
me.
are you really putting
Number
it this low?
16 is Tomorrow Never Dies.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How? Explain to me now.
I don't dude, General Roebuck annoys the hell out of me. I don't like this the vibe this has always given me whenever I watch Tomorrow Never Dies. It just feels like I don't feel like I'm watching a Bond movie. I feel like I'm just watching a typical Hollywood action movie starring Pierce Brosnan. Like that's the vibe. Like I feel like I'm just watching like something from like 1990 like 7 that was like that Nicolas Cage or like those big action stars in the 90s would star in. Like
Yeah.
it feels too Hollywoodized to me.
Bond reflecting the time of its creation in Hollywood? How
Yeah.
dare it?
Yeah, there's I don't the conflict with like Roebuck and like M. It's like, what is your guy doing? His job. I'm like, shut up, you stupid admiral. I hate that guy.
Yes, exactly. It gives Em an awesome moment.
No, I'm not dissing her or anything. I hate that guy. I think. Oh, I was gonna say. I thought you froze for a minute.
No, I'm just in
Froze in
shock.
disbelief.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never like. There's. It's just. It just feels like too much of like a special effects extravaganza to me, rather than like, hey, like it feels like it's trying to be like have like too many cool moments. Like there are cool moments in it. Like I love when he's in the jet plane and the guy is in the back seat and he's actually trying to kill Bond. I love that moment. Backseat driver. That's a good line. I like that.
Terrible, filthy habit or terrible habit,
Yeah,
whatever.
filthy
Like
habit. Yeah, classic. Like
Filthy habit.
like he's got the classic Bond isms in there, but I just think that they're trying to make every moment in this a little too like iconic.
Well, I'll be retorting way later in the list, and I might even put it at number one now, just to spite you.
I almost put something else at number one.
Oh my god!
Uh,
Wow.
yeah.
Next on my list, I have What do we got here? World's Not Enough. No, I'm just kidding. um, what did I say? Oh, From Russia with Love at 15 for me.
Okay.
I love Red Grant. I love this whole opening with the fake Bond where you think it's Sean Connery at first, but they did like makeup on him to make him
Mission
look a little.
Impossible thing.
Yeah, they made him look a little fake, which I appreciate because
Yeah.
then you get to the
Yeah,
moment
his
where
face looks a little fatter.
yeah, it's like he looks a little off, but you're like,
Yeah, because
okay,
I
it's
remember the
Bond on a
first.
mission.
I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, something looks off about him.
Yep. And then when they have you see Red Grant kill him, and then you see it's a fake person, like it's a fake Bond, and then all the Spectre people are watching, like it's so good. It's just
I love the concept of it too. That it's on like a giant island called Spectre Island.
yeah, it's just a great opening. It sets up it's one of those that sets up the villain rather than Bond, and it makes you already know that oh, Grant's gonna be a problem. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
he can kill, he's training to kill Bond specifically. Like it's
This
cool.
man's gonna kill some sharks later in his career.
I've always liked it.
Yeah. 15 for me. On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I've actually really come around on this opening titles. Yeah, no, not opening title sequence. Pre-title sequence. I think like I understand where you were coming from when you were describing it because there's nothing really that like sticks out. Like I don't like the fight when Bond fights the guy on the beach because I think that should have been a, a little bit more of a close up. I think I don't think it should have been a full on close up, but I think he should have gotten a little bit more like in there rather than have it pull back as a big wide. But dude, some of the shots in this pre-title sequence, like the cigarette thing, like Bond like driving towards the beach and you see like the silhouette of like his hat, his glasses against like a dark backdrop. I'm like, this is fucking cool. And then just like the dark undertone of it all too, the fact that Tracy's gonna try and commit suicide in the ocean by drowning, and then Bond just happens to be over there and drive by and he tries to stop her and then it leads to this fight. I'm like, this is actually a lot more layered than I remember it being, and maybe might have On Her Majesty's Secret Service going up in my rankings overall if I ever whenever I watch it again, because I feel like the more I think about Majesties, I think there's more about it that I like, and I remember liking this sequence a lot less in previous years as
Mhm.
opposed to now. Where were we? Was that 15?
That was yeah, your number 15.
Okay,
So now we're on my 14.
14. Yep.
And my number 14, I have Octopussy. I like a lot of the action parts of it in the Acro Star. I think there's some pretty cool, like there's that explosion when he blows up the base. That's
Going
pretty
through the
cool.
hangar.
Oh, going through the hangar's cool. I like I'm so more. I appreciate the Roger Moore goofiness.
Oh, I do
Sometimes.
too. But
I like the fact that the Acro Star is hidden inside of a horse truck where there's a fake horse ass with a tail.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah,
I like him saying Spiller up. Like I love him going into the base with the mustache as the fake general. Like it's
yeah,
got some good moments. It's like a typical Bond mission.
yeah.
I like it. It's not anything spectacular, but it's definitely like middle of the road for me. Like it's
Okay,
fine.
okay.
Yeah.
My 14 is from a weaker movie, Thunderball.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love I love like the implications. Like this was right before You Only Live Twice, so you zoom in after the gun barrel, like the iris of the gun barrel opens on somebody JB on a casket. It's like, okay, like what the hell? And then you realize it's not James Bond, it's somebody
Yeah.
else. There's a little
Immediately.
yeah,
Immediately it cuts to Bond.
yeah, exactly. And there's is this the one where the like housemaid's dressed like, or the man's dressed like the housemaid or something, and Bond fights him?
The man is dressed up as his own widow.
That's it. Yeah, that's yeah, yeah. And Bond fights him. I love when they get out though, and then he gets into the jetpack. Uh, does a lot of cool things with the jetpack, and then into the Aston Martin where he sprays water on those guys at the end. It's amazing.
Sure.
It's how you feel about Octopussy. It's just kind of it's there. It's middle of the road. Thunderball as a whole, I've kind of liked less and less as time has gone on, but I've always had fun with this scene of the movie. So
All right.
yeah,
I can
13
respect
for
that.
you.
My 13 is License to Kill.
Okay.
I think it's a really effective pre-title sequence. It establishes a lot. It establishes Sanchez as like a very big threat. It establishes Felix Leiter and Bond's friendship, which because Felix is depending on what movie you're watching, either he's best friends with Bond or he's like a
Pissed
guy
off at him.
Bond, yeah, a guy Bond barely kind of knows,
Yeah.
or like it all depends. So this movie's like, oh no, they're best friends, even though this Felix is Roger Moore's age. They're best friends.
Yeah,
And
because it's David Hedison. They brought him back
yeah,
from Live and Let Die.
and
Yeah.
it's a fun opening though. I like the whole, let's
The
go
Miami
fishing.
Vice vibes, dude.
The Miami Vice vibes. I like the introduction of like Sanchez and Dario as like villains. The whole airplane stunt's really cool. So cool
Let's
that
go fishing.
Christopher Nolan shamelessly ripped it off in Dark Knight Rises. Like that's how good the stunt was. Um, so I really like that whole sequence, and I love them parachuting down to the wedding. I think that's just very
Yeah,
like,
it's
and
awesome.
it sets up, it's like a nice like, oh man, this is a nice wedding day, and then of course the movie is next is like, no, this is gonna be horrible.
Yeah, yeah. It's like they're probably listening to us right now and be like, yeah, you know how you guys are complaining about like how these movies aren't revenge flicks? This is the true revenge flick.
Oh yeah, License
Yeah.
to Kill.
Yeah.
The revenge Bond movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good opening, and I love the movie. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What are we on? 13?
Yep.
Moonraker.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, Moonraker's a lot of fun. The skydiving sequence with Jaws. I mean, the fact that was actually like it looked. I don't know if it was real. I don't know if
It
they.
was, it was the actual wide shots of the fall, like not the close ups of more, obviously,
Right.
but the stunts they skydived. I think
Dude.
it was like 80 something times.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing with most of the Bond movies, minus Die Another Day. It's like they use as many practical effects.
Yeah. Oh
as
yeah.
possible
Always
in
super
stunts.
impressive.
Yeah, it's so impressive, and I think that's why, even though I think Moonraker's a lackluster movie in almost every regard, especially in that third act, that the pre-title sequence I think has always stood out to me, just because it feels so like real, it feels like I get an adrenaline rush watching this. Like this is like one of those things where it feels like I'm skydiving with them and I'm going down so fast that I'm gonna piss my pants. Yeah, so I think the close-ups are actually integrated into a CG background or whatever they used for the background. I think that they're integrated into the scene really well, honestly, because you can't even tell that they're on a soundstage or whatever they used for those close-ups. And I mean, you have the return of Jaws here, and Jaws is awesome up until the end. He's one of my favorite henchmen ever in Bond until the movie shamelessly ruins him. But it's always been one of those ones that's impressed me. It's always been one of my favorite stunts in Bond. And for a series that tries to continually impress with stunts, it's definitely up there for I think being a stunt ahead of its time, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Definitely I could see that.
Yep. Number 12.
My number 12 is No Time to Die.
Okay.
I think it's a strong opening. Like it's pretty high up on this list. I think there's a lot of cool stunts. I
Yeah.
think this movie does like this movie does like too much in this pre-title sequence. I'll say like it's
a lot of what Calvin Dyson was saying. Stop and go.
it's just too much. Like by the time you get to the titles, I feel like I've just watched the whole movie. I feel like I've like been sitting there for like 45 minutes.
Longest pre-title sequence.
It's too long. It's like you have the whole
23
opening.
minutes.
You have the opening with Safin and young Madeline, and I'm thinking maybe that would have been more effective later in the movie if you're gonna just throw it in here, and then we go into this huge sequence of Bond and Madeline and their love. And then he goes to Vesper's grave, and Spectre's here, and he doesn't trust Madeline, and Primo is here, and this and that, and it's like it's too much. It's like too much. I needed this to be cut down, take out some of those elements, move that flashback, or just have the flashback be the opening. Like it's just too much because you have that for like 5 minutes, like of like a scary masked killer scene, and then you have that whole sequence with Bond and Madeline, and it's by the time you get to the credits, I'm exhausted, and not in like a good way. I'm like, okay, like cool, that was fine, but like holy shit, we're only hearing the song now.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's 24 minutes.
Yeah,
Like,
it's too
and
long.
then
It's way
so
too
by the
long.
by the time by the time those credits are over, you're a half hour into the movie.
Yeah, that's way too long. Come
Yeah.
on, like you could have edited that down. It's too long.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
cool, but it's way too long.
2 hours and 43 minutes, man. So,
Yeah, the whole movie's too damn long.
I keep losing track. Where are we? 12?
Yeah, that was 12. My 12. So now it's your 12.
From Russia with Love.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I love, like I said, I love the concept. Like, there's all these Spectre agents like gathered on an island on like training grounds called Spectre Island because their whole goal here is to get revenge on Bond for killing Doctor No. So it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
it makes sense that they have a personal beef with Bond that doesn't require
yeah,
them to be brothers.
exactly, exactly, and like I just love that concept, especially for an early Bond film. Like for people who are like, well, you don't really have to watch Doctor No to understand from Rush from or yeah, I'm getting
Russia with
tied
Love.
up on my words. Yeah, from Russia with Love here. It's like, yeah, you really don't, but it kind of helps, you know, and like the fact that
The
it's
Connery movies have an arc.
yeah,
Like
they
there
do.
is an
There
arc.
is like there it's not as crazy as I would say the Craig movies.
No, it's not as reliant on it as the
No,
Craig
no, but
trilogy.
there's definitely loose continuity threads.
Yes.
Like when you get to Kronstein and Rosenberg, I think their name is like later on in the movie, and you see like Blofeld like stroking his guy. He's like, "Get revenge on Doctor No" or something. Um, like that's what I love about this. That's why it's so high for me. I just love the concept where it's like, okay, he killed Doctor No. Now we gotta. This guy's a threat. We have to take him out, and he could kill all of us if we don't take him out. He could get to Blofeld if we don't take him out.
Yep.
That's
I mean,
I love that concept.
yeah,
That's
it's
for
a natural progression.
yeah,
Escalation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For like for an early Bond film to do that, I think is brilliant.
Yep.
Yep. All right,
Yep.
number 11.
My number 11. Die another day.
Oh,
Time to go. Listen. Yes, him surfing into North Korea is stupid, but that is that is 99 on the list of stupid things in this movie.
I
Okay?
know, right?
So, I think this is a great opening sequence. I think Bond, you know, he does a little bit of spy work. He impersonates a man that looks
Mr.
just like
Van
Pierce
Buren.
Brosnan. I love when he takes the guy's sunglasses and smirks at him because you see he's wearing the same
That's
clothes.
one of my favorite
That's
Brosnan
that's
moments.
great. And like Pierce, you know, the introduction of was it Colonel Moon?
Yeah,
Like his introduction is great, beating the hell out of a guy in a punching bag. Like
yeah,
that's cool. And like we're not at the part of the movie yet when things get really stupid. So it's like this feels dark and dangerous.
yeah,
And like Zhao gets the diamonds in his face, but he doesn't look stupid yet either. So
yeah.
it's like the bad shit hasn't come yet. So this
It-
part of Die Another Day,
yeah.
I'm in. I'm like, this is a fun, weird mission for Bond. He's on a hovercraft, which is like, yeah, that's a little dumb, but like it's interesting, it's memorable.
Blowing
It's
up
like
mines in the 38th
yeah,
parallel.
it's a cool set piece, and like then you know you get to him being captured, and that's such an interesting way to end a pre-title sequence. Like
Not
that's
to
never
mention,
happened.
it's segged into the title sequence too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
like
actually
it's that whole chunk of the movie. I'm like, I'm on board. This is interesting,
yeah,
and then the movie completely wastes half that stuff. But, like
yeah,
for what it is on its own as a pre-title sequence, I really like it. I think it's cool,
yeah.
but the rest of the movie, ugh.
I know, right? Exactly.
No, I
Uh,
mean, I know a year ago I said that I put that dead last on my list. I apologize, Die Another Day. You're better than Quantum of Solace. I recant what I said. Die Another Day is better than Quantum of Solace.
just for that
I have
sequence
fun with it.
alone.
I have fun watching it.
Yeah, I have fun, dude. I honestly, I have fun watching it too, but I have fun making fun of it. That's why.
Oh, of course, of course. But
Yeah,
yeah, the pre-title is solid. Though. I will fight that the pre-title is solid.
yeah.
Mm.
My number 11. Eh, the living daylights. Doo-doo-doo. I
Okay.
love.
Okay.
I love that this is like just like a training ground for MI6. Like there was also one of those like weird things too, is they kind of do the same thing with Brosnan. I don't know, they didn't do it with Roger Moore because they were just like, oh, M's just gonna show up and Roger Moore Bond's flat, and it's just Roger
Yeah,
Moore.
yeah. He
Um,
doesn't get an introduction.
yeah, yeah. So like but like they're kind of known for doing this. Like they don't really show Bond, even though like you know he's in the sequence. Like Doctor No, the first scene, there's no pre-title sequence, but in the first scene, like you see Bond from like the side. You don't see him like in like full view. This one, it's like okay, there's people. They're doing a training exercise. They're climbing up a mountain. People are getting picked off when Schmiert spewing them and all that stuff. So it's like there's all these guys with black hair. And it's like, oh, that guy's Bond, and then that guy gets killed, and it's like, okay, so
Mhm.
this other guy with the black hair is Bond, and then that guy gets killed, and then you see that guy fall, and then all of a sudden you just see Timothy Dalton turn around, and you're like, okay, that's Bond. Like it's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
cool. And then the action scene itself, where it's like it's a training mission, but there's no real bullets, but it's paintball, but then there's actually something that is happening.
Yeah, people are actually dying.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude. It's so
Yeah.
like I think I said this when we did like your ranking of the movies, where it's like I've always felt, because like in those ultimate edition DVD box sets, this was in volume 1, and it was always, for some reason, they were like out of order when I got it, so it was always the first one, so it was always the first one that I watched when I did a bondathon.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like it just got like it wore thin on me a little bit, but this pre-title sequence though is phenomenal. It's so much fun, dude.
So good. I'll be talking about that way
Okay.
later.
Number 10.
Casino Royale.
Okay.
I like it. I think it's a cool way to introduce like a new Bond. I like that it's like his 2 kills to become a double O. Like it's
Mhm.
all cool. It's just very kind of like
It's not
chill.
flashy. Yeah.
No, it's very chill. It's very like
Yeah.
understated, and it's fine. It's cool. It's just not one of the ones that like I think of when I think of a pre-title sequence. You
Right.
know, it's like
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah.
I would think in another Bond movie that played it a little differently. I would think the parkour sequence would have been the pre-title.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely, for sure. If that was like Brosnan or something, yeah,
Yeah, like
parkour.
he's in the middle of a mission, he chases a dude, shit
Yeah.
blows up, you know.
Yeah.
But no, it's an understated way to start the movie. I love the way it leads into the titles. It's super
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Oh, we were there actually. Sitting in the theater, being like, "Where the fuck's the gun barrel?"
Yeah, yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. Yep.
Yep. We were just
hmm
like, "Whoa!" Like that. This is starting. It's like I'll talk about it more later.
Didn't
So
we watch it together the first time? Or you had
I
seen it,
think.
I hadn't.
Well, I think you and Tim were still at that phase where it was like, "This sucks," and then
This is gonna be terrible. He's
yeah.
flawed.
But then like me, my brother, and my mom saw it and we loved it, and then we convinced you guys to go see it on Thanksgiving, and then you guys were
Yeah,
like, "That was excellent."
yeah, that was so
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
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 My number 10, Goldfinger.
Okay, that's my number 9.
Okay, yeah,
So we can just talk about
sure,
it.
yeah, there we go. Okay, Goldfinger's such a classic Bond movie, and
Mhm.
this one kind of is similar to how I feel about the Octopussy one, where it's like the secluded, like separate mission from the main mission that Bond has to go on later on in the movie. Um, I don't. There's nothing really flashy. Obviously, like it's 1964. They can't do like high budget $250 million stunts and all that.
Yeah.
But I just think there's a couple more for like classic Bond and like even maybe some older Bond films. I don't know, but that stick out to me a little bit more than Goldfinger. Like I don't think it's as iconic as people make it out to be. Like I love when he blows up. He puts the bombs on the tanks. He blows those up, and he just lights a cigarette. And like as they're blowing up in the background, like he's just standing there like smoking the cigarette. Goes into the bathtub, fights the guy, throws the radiator into the tub, and shocks the guy.
Shocking.
Yeah, shocker, positively shocking, like
Mhm.
iconic stuff. But I
Yeah,
just don't think it's as impressive, maybe, as
sure.
people say it is.
I mean, for me, Goldfinger's pre-title, it sets the standard really of like a
Yeah,
pre-title
yeah,
sequence.
yeah.
Like,
That's the thing. It's like people are like, oh, Doctor No's the one that like started the series, but From Russia with Love's where it's like starting to like head its
Mhm.
wheels, and then
Yeah,
this is like, no, this is where Bond
the
becomes Bond.
Goldfinger like fully establishes what Bond is, and the pre-title sequence is the first pre-title sequence where it's like a Bond mission.
Yeah,
Like this is a Bond mission, leads into the titles of a big song.
yeah,
Like it sets all that. But I agree. I think it got improved upon by many movies later down
yeah,
the road,
yeah.
where this is good
I
and
feel
it sets a
yeah.
standard, but it's
Yeah,
not
I feel like
impressive.
saying that though, it's like I feel like people are gonna come at us and be like, "It was 1964 though." It's
Sure,
like I get it. Like obviously, like I
it's
get that.
classic. It's
Yeah.
number 10 and number 9 on our list. Like it's still like really
Yeah.
good.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's just like but like I just think of other pre-title sequences before I think of Goldfinger, you know.
Sure.
As
Yep.
as classic of a movie as Goldfinger is.
Yep.
My number 9. What is my number 9? Oh, my number 9. You got a license to kill. Dude, this pre-title sequence is like holy shit, man. Like there's some like dark stuff in here.
Yeah, give me his heart.
Yeah, like give me his heart. Like they're gonna Sanchez, Dario, and their goons, like they show up to Lupe's house and they're like gonna rape her. It's like holy shit.
Well,
Like
they're gonna kill her
yeah,
lover, you know?
yeah,
I don't know if they're gonna rape her.
yeah,
They're gonna kill
yeah.
her lover.
But I feel like that's like the implied stuff here. But it's like when they're showing that stuff, it's like holy shit, that is dark for a Bond movie.
Yeah, Sanchez starts beating her with the belt, like
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
like I love the Miami Vice vibes. Like it just feels like I'm like if Bond's in Miami, I feel like he would be doing all this stuff.
Well, like that one shot of I always think of when the DEA guys running and then Felix is beside them. Like,
yes, yes,
in
with the
slow
chopper in the
motion.
background.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude, that's
fucking
like,
awesome, man.
that's the first image anytime I watch the sequence that comes into my head. But you have iconic like characters that are in this movie. Sharky, Justice
Oh
for
yeah,
Sharky.
he's at the wedding. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
Justice for Sharky, like you have the classic lines like "Let's go fishing" and he's on the hook and he's in the
Yep.
that whole action sequence is so cool. Like it just sets the darker tone for the movie.
Oh
It
yeah.
really sets up a movie that you're not prepared for, that nobody was ready for. So
Yep.
I mean that I've always I like Living Daylights a lot, but I've always liked License to Kill more because of that tone and because this one just sets it up so much. It's nothing against Living Daylights. Like I still really like Living Daylights.
Mhm, yeah.
But oh, we're gonna fight again, huh?
Where has everybody gone?
Yeah. So but yeah, I mean, I just love the darker tone it sets up, and honestly, the darker tone that the movie takes, just how crazy it turns into for a Bond movie.
Yep.
All right, number 8.
My number 8 is Thunderball, which is a movie I'm not big on. Like it's pretty like
I feel
it's
like
on like
nobody is.
well, I mean, I'm sure Thunderball has its defenders, and it was hugely successful when it came out, like hugely. And it's this big, epic, sprawling Bond movie.
Right.
For the first time, I think it was the first widescreen Bond movie. It's the pre-title sequence to me, I really like. It's one of the best parts of the movie to me because it feels like it captures all the things I like about a Bond pre-title sequence. It's like you got like an interesting start with like the fake out JB thing.
Yeah.
You got the classic thing that then got parodied so much in Austin Powers, where it's a man, baby, like all that stuff, like where the guy, if the dead guy pretends to be his own widow, like that's so good. And when Bond just like punches him, and then they're fighting in like the office, and there's the speed ups of him like throwing the chair across the room,
Yeah.
and like it's just a cool little fight. And then Bond's classic jetpack escape on an actual functioning jetpack.
Yeah, which is
Like,
crazy. It's
sure,
awesome.
it could only be
It's
airborne for
awesome.
like 20 seconds, but that's super impressive.
But dude, like I mean, 1965, that's impressive for that.
It was cool, and it's still cool. It's like the fact that's real. Like that is
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
that dude is coming down
Yeah.
flying.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, there's the like close-up shots of like Sean Connery with the dorky-looking helmet, just like, but like that's crazy.
I know, right?
So yeah, I put Thunderball pretty high for that because it's cool. It's like cool start to the movie, and then the rest of the movie, then you spend like a half hour with Bond in a sauna.
Oh yeah, dude. Those opening parts of Thunderball are wicked boring.
Very slow, very slow.
Yeah.
All right,
Uh,
yeah, that's my number 8.
All right, my number 8. There was one that was pretty low on your list. The Man with the Golden Gun.
Mhm.
I've always vibed with Man with the Golden Gun. I don't know why people hate Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah, I love Man with Gold Gun. It's fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun. To us, Mr. Bond, we are the best. But like you said, like Bond's not really technically not really in here. I mean, it's just a mannequin of Bond. But I love how it sets the stage for the final duel between Scaramanga and Bond. That Bond is gonna have to do like, oh, Scaramanga is preparing to kill Bond with this bullet that he sends towards Bond's direction, and Bond like catches wind of like what his big plan is, and he goes to this island and this whole fun house where you have these like eccentric like animatronic things that like scare the shit out of you because you're just like you have the mobster guy that from Diamonds Are Forever, because I think he's the same guy too.
Hell yeah, it's him.
And
I love him and the
Yeah.
mobsters in the car. I don't have a brother. Oh, I got a brother.
Yeah, but like you have him walking through the funhouse and like just the utter shock on his face when he realizes that he's in a funhouse that is meant to be target practice for Scaramanga's targets. It's like shit. Like
Yeah.
that's what makes it so good. It's so tension filled and so eccentric in that regard. Like I just love that whole thing. And the
Mhm.
fact that like Nick Nack's there too and he's like, this whole thing, if you'll kill him, it will be mine. You know, Nick Nack's awesome.
You made a wrong turn, Mr. Scaramanga. Try
Where is your
again.
gun, Mr. Scaramanga?
It's so good.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love Nick Nack. No, like Nick Nack being in it just makes it better.
Agreed.
You're number 7.
Moonraker.
Okay.
I,
Yeah.
it's the best part of the movie for
Oh,
me.
for sure,
Like,
for sure.
like the rest
I
of
would,
it is kind of
yeah, I would say that
but
or the zero gravity sequence.
yeah, but that part's so cool. Like the whole skydiving, Jaws, like a villain from another movie showing up
Yeah,
randomly.
right.
I
Yeah,
wish, honestly, I wish that was all Jaws was in this movie because, goddamn,
should have been.
by the time we get through the
He
4th
should have been.
sequence of Jaws chasing him, I'm like, okay, I'm sick of Jaws. And then they turn him into a good guy, and I'm like, never come back. But the
Unless if
first,
it's everything or nothing.
like you were, yeah, unless it's everything or nothing. But like you were saying, just the skydiving stunt work
Oh
is
yeah,
so impressive.
yeah.
Like it's so cool to watch. It's like the moment where he starts really descending, and it's like dun, 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 like I love
Yeah.
all that stuff.
I love when
Um,
Jaws falls into the circus tent too.
I like that part, but I don't like that it like it's like
Oh,
circus
it's
music.
a spinny thing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a little weird, but no, it's really strong opening for like a movie that I think's pretty like weak.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so yeah, that to me, I think it's the best part of that movie.
yeah. Number 7 might surprise you because this one's been pretty low. This movie's been pretty low down on my list for years. It's
What's
going up in recent years. Live and Let Die.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, yep.
Yeah, yeah. I never vibed with this back in the day, but every time I watch Live and Let Die now, I'm like, this shit's cool. Like
I love them.
a guy dying by like a sonic radio wave at the United
Yeah,
Nations, the whole parade where it's like, oh, it's your whose funeral is it? Yours. But then
yeah.
you cut to the fictitious Caribbean island with Baron Samedi. He's like, people are coming out of coffins, and there's like a bunch of snakes everywhere. It's
Mm,
amazing. It's awesome.
yeah,
No
that's
Bond,
cool.
no Bond either.
No Bond.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love it.
That's
I just love that they dabble in the idea of like voodoo and supernatural. It's like you're in for a different Bond movie based on
yeah,
pre-title
100%.
sequence. Yeah. All right, number 6. Tomorrow Never Dies.
The world is
Oh,
not
you're
enough.
killing me. Before Tomorrow Never Dies.
Oh, hell yeah, before Tomorrow
Fuck
Never Dies.
you, no.
Okay, the world's not enough. It's a great pre-title sequence. We'll say that. It's number 6 on my list out of 24 movies. It's
Oh,
good,
still
right?
too low. Too low.
It's good. The problem is it's too damn long. Okay, it's too damn long. You get how many turns do I have to watch in the boat before you finally get
He doesn't
this
do
moment?
anything as remotely cool as Justice Ty underwater in
No,
Tomorrow.
there's cool moments. There's cool moments. But like you start off with that whole sequence of him with like the office and the briefcase, and he goes down the window, and that's the original pre-title sequence.
Yeah.
Which like it's nothing grand, but I think if you ended it there, that would have been a classy pre-title sequence. It would have been like, oh, that's cool. But like this, you feel like you have a whole first act of a movie shoved into this pre-title sequence. Oh, here's Robert King and his glasses steaming, and he blows up, and like it's like he runs and he gets the
Dude,
he gets the
no-
Q-boat. They're on a hot air balloon. It's cool. It's just got the same problem as No Time to Die for me, where it's just too damn long. By the time I get to the titles, I'm like, I'm tired. I'm tired.
Okay.
I feel like I just watched the whole movie.
We're on 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't feel like that with No Time to Die because that's my number 6. I think because
Nice segue.
I just think it's the ambition of this title sequence, like the fact that you have like a flashback without Bond for like the first 5 minutes. It's played off as a horror movie because
Yeah.
you have that crazy jump scare, and then you have like this really like psychological thing happening to Madeline, and it sets up. I know there's a lot we disagree about Safin mostly, Yeah, I'm kind of middle of the road with him, but I mean, mostly everybody dislikes him, but it sets up what could be a really great villain. And then,
It could have been.
yeah, um, and then like I love the cut too because when he pulls her out of the water, it cuts to Madeline in the present day. I understand what people like what Calvin Dyson's saying, where it's like a little bit too much like stop and go, but compared to something like with Spectre, the action here though is at least fun. Like I'm like when he's in the car chase, he's using all his gadgets from the Aston Martin. He does the donuts with the Aston Martin. I'm like, I am pumped, man. Like I am like I like it doesn't feel long to me. Like it feels like something that flies by to me. With how much is going on in this pre-title sequence. Oh, they're in Italy. He goes to Vesper's grave to try and let everything go. Her grave gets bombed by Spectre. He gets on the bike, goes back to Madeline. He thinks she did it. He puts her in the car. You're just counting off everything. Blofeld calls, but the car chase is awesome. I love the donut thing. Like I don't for me, a modern Bond film, that's like I feel like the Craig ones, most of them, like Skyfall and this one, kind of set the standard for like the big bombastic action for the pre-titles. I feel like
Sure.
now. I
Yeah.
feel like that's kind of where we're gonna kind of move towards in the future, if you know what I mean. And it just got me excited because I was like the action inspector was so lackluster. Where I'm like, I actually feel like I'm having some fun watching this.
Right.
You know, yeah.
No,
So
I agree. I agree. There's a
it's
lot of
not
good
it,
stuff in it.
it's not shoddily edited. It's not it's very well filmed. I love it.
Yeah.
I love the music too, like dun, 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 like all that stuff with Hans Zimmer, who I think does a yeah, it's great. What's your number 5?
Tomorrow never
Oh,
dies.
you bastard! You did that on purpose.
No way, man. It's just how it is. It's just the facts. I love this opening. I always have. It's Bond in the middle of a mission, and I love how they obscure him for a bit. It's like White Knight, the Black Queen, or whatever. And it's like he's on the ground. He's in a terrorist bazaar. There's all sorts of bad people everywhere, and he's there with his sick ass jacket. All right, he's got that cool jacket, and Pierce Brosnan shows up with a great line, knocks a dude out. Classic Pierce Brosnan intro, knocking a dude out while saying something clever, and then it's Bond versus a terrorist camp. He's just shooting everybody and blowing shit up, and it's like the whole time you've got all the extra stuff with the guy that you hate, which I hate him too, but we're supposed to. That's why it's effective. He's like, launch the missile, and the missile's coming. There's Bond's like, don't do that. There's a thing over here that's a nuclear bomb. It's Bond fighting people, jumping into a jet, flying the jet away from the explosion as another jet's trying to kill him, and the guy behind him's trying to kill him. It's amazing.
This is how much I totally forget like about this whole thing. That it's actually part of like the whole Henry Gupta that
Henry
Elliot
Gupta's
Carver's
there with the
guys.
red box.
Yeah,
It's
I
amazing.
forget. I always forget that thing's there. I'm like, because I don't care about that thing.
It's a subtle setup to the future plot. Like he's
I
just
don't
there,
care.
you notice him. It's so good. It's so good. As the action's filmed wonderfully. It's James Bond in an insane situation, and he pulls his way out, and you feel the tension because you got a whole war room of like M and the cool dude that replaces Tanner for a movie, and they're just like, oh my god,
Robinson.
Bond is dead. Like it's like so good and intense. I love it. It's so good. It doesn't go on too long. It's the perfect amount of time. Bond is in the middle of a mission against all odds, and he succeeds. It's amazing. Love Tomorrow Never Dies' opening pre-title sequence. It's great. You're insane, sir. You're a hater.
In the famous words of Donald Trump, wrong.
Nah, dude, it's so good.
My number 5, from a classic Bond movie, The Spy Who Loved Me.
Number 5.
Yeah, The Spy Who Loved Me is like, I love that because it takes it seriously, unlike A View to a Kill, which is essentially the same scene. Yeah, like, and plus 2, you have all the background stuff with Agent Triple X and Bond killing her lover, essentially. Yep, and now she wants to kill Bond and or team up with him on the mission so that she can kill him. And it's cool stuff. And then it's like, wait, I need you, Bond. So does England. Like it's like
the last time I watched that movie, which was last year before we did our big review of all
Mhm.
the series, I was watching it, and Casey was watching it with me, and she goes, "Why does he look like Ronald McDonald?"
He
And
kind of
now I
does.
can't unsee it, dude.
He kind
All
of does.
yellow with a red hat, and from far away on the wide shots, it looks like Ronald McDonald's
It's
kicking
crazy
ass.
because you would think we would say that about Octopussy, where he literally dresses up as a clown.
Yep.
But yeah, but no, this like for the two skiing sequences that are pre-title sequence, this is by far the superior one.
Oh yeah. Look,
Like by far, no stupid Beach Boys song.
all it needs is the skiing music from For Your Eyes Only.
Dude, yeah, you know why that music's awesome? Because it's the guy who did Rocky. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, perfect 80s music. What's your number 4?
My number 4 of all time,
Mhm.
Living Daylights.
Ooh, so and that's your
Think
number 4 favorite movie, right?
I think it's number 4 and number 3. I freaking love Living Daylights, man.
I
It's
know
so
you
good.
do. It's
It's so good. And the opening is one of the best introductions of a Bond for the exact reasons you were talking about. They kind of keep it, shrouded of which one is Bond.
yeah.
And like him, it sets up the Spirit Smirnum whole conspiracy of the movie.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
the whole sequence with him, like when he's running to catch the truck, and that one dude is like,
he's like,
"You're
"Hey,
dead."
you're already dead."
Yeah, he shoots him with a paintball. He just shoves him out of the way, and he like jumps on the truck.
Yeah.
It's so good. And then, in classic Bond fashion, he has a big sequence, big action sequence. He ends up on a yacht with a
Yeah,
beautiful
it's a
woman,
yeah.
and he's just like, "You better make it 2 hours or whatever." And
Yeah.
like, it's so
It's
good.
amazing.
It's a
Yeah.
great intro to Bond.
It's a great pre-title sequence.
Yeah, I love it.
Um,
So good.
my number 4 is Casino Royale.
Okay.
Yeah, I love how low key it is. I think if you're rebooting the Bond series like this or any series in general that has, like a pre-title sequence, I think keeping it low key is key. I love the black and white element of it. I love that this guy who is his second kill is like this crooked Dryden. He's this crooked MI6 agent. You like there's just brief flashes, like split-second flashes that tell you everything you need to know about Dryden as a character. The dialogue is perfect. Like Bond's like, "Oh, you're selling secrets behind MI6's and M's back," and all that. The brief flashes, which I'm glad they didn't keep that whole deleted scene where it's actually at a cricket field in like Pakistan and Bond kills Fisher in like the bathroom. Like they kept parts of it, like the parts where he fights Fisher in the bathroom. Like it's nothing flashy, but I don't think it has to be if you're introducing like this brooding, dark, more brutal, I don't give a shit and I'm cold blooded type of Bond. And I think that's why it's so effective, and I think that's why it's so well loved. And it ends perfectly by segging into the gun barrel sequence or the
Yep.
pre-title sequence. So,
Mhm.
yep. All right. What's your number 4? No, you already did number 4. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Skyfall.
Okay, that's my number 3.
That's your number 3?
That's my number 3.
It's a great sequence. It's got a lot of good action. It
Feels like
introduces-
classic Bond, doesn't it?
Feels like classic Bond. It's got an interesting ending where he gets shot. Like
Yeah.
it's got a lot of great stunts. It's got good Bond moments where he like fixes his cuffs and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's crazy when you look at like the energy and the excitement that this sequence gives to the audience member compared to the Action Inspector that is directed by the same director.
He was
Yeah.
burnt out, man. He should have
Yeah.
just done Skyfall.
Yeah,
Should've just been the one
exactly.
and done.
Which was the plan, and then they were like, "No, you gotta come back." So
Yeah, but he didn't have it in him.
yeah, I mean, I love I just like the energy of the motorcycle chase is awesome. Like I love how they're on the rooftops of the Grand Bazaar. They go into the bazaar and everybody's just like, "What the fuck's going on?" Like
And
him
that
in
one,
the
it manages to pack in a lot of stuff without being too long,
yeah,
which is important to me in a pre-title sequence. I feel like it's paced well.
yeah.
It's not just overly stuffed.
Yeah, it's not there's never like a dull moment in this pre-title sequence. and it starts off like where it's like, okay, like what is Bond looking for? Who's Naomi Harris? I mean, there's that whole mystery surrounding the whole movie. There's really cool stunts too in it. I mean, obviously you have the one where he jumps off the excavator and into the train and he fixes his cufflink. But I've always, I mean, when they're driving on top of the Grand Bazaar on the motorcycles, I always thought that those were cool stunts. I think an underrated stunt. It's very brief, but it's when they're on the bridge and Patrice is already on the train, and Bond just takes that bike and flings it off the bridge, and here, like, and he's hanging on for dear life. Like that's awesome. And then just there's just so much energy and flash to it without being like too over the top. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's well balanced.
Yeah. All right. So you have anything else to say about Skyfall?
No, that about covers it. I just think it's really well balanced.
Okay. What's your number two?
Oh, what was your number 3?
Skyfall.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
My number 2 is GoldenEye.
Okay.
GoldenEye is a perfect introduction for Bond. I think it's the best new
Well,
introduction to a new Bond.
I'm kind of shocked that it's
That
not.
is, I know, I'm sure. It sets up the villain without you even really realizing it at the time. It's
Yeah.
its own little mission with Bond and another 00 for the first time really teaming up. You get to see that kind of dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
got
All of the
tons.
all of the implications that like the real world stuff and all that. Like, is I'll talk more about it when I talk about it, but
Mhm.
it's awesome. It's coming up.
It feels like the end of the Cold, like it feels like a classic Cold War Bond mission.
Yeah.
You got the insane damn bungee jump.
Yeah.
You got the dive off with the motorbike to the
Yeah.
plane. Like it's just got a lot of great action. It's got cool dynamic between him and Alec Trevelyan because you don't
Mhm.
usually see 2 00s working that closely together.
Mhm.
It's a great sequence to my favorite Bond movie. So
There you go.
yeah, it's a great intro.
All right. You know what my number two is?
Of course I do, you son of a bitch.
This.
I didn't even hear anything.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, all right. Well, I mean, it's the world is not enough.
Was it garbage?
Great garbage though.
Yeah.
The world is not enough pre-title sequence is amazing. I don't care what you say.
It's
Better-
really good. It's not.
Yes, it is. It's better than Tomorrow Never Dies. That's for sure. Everything about this movie is better than Tomorrow Never Dies. Sorry, I'm just gonna
That's
keep.
not true.
No, I mean, obviously, like this is the iconic one for the big boat chase that takes place on the Thames, but it's like there's more to it than just Bond going like this, Pat. Okay. The parts where he's chasing like the cigar girl, who I deemed Michael Jackson back in the day.
I can protect you. I can protect you.
Not from him.
Not from me.
No, I mean, I love where it's like she like Bond kind of like outsmarts her because and she outsmarts Bond too in like some parts because is it her that shoots the torpedoes or Bond that shoots the torpedoes?
He shoots the torpedo.
He
She has like a big gun or whatever.
Yeah, she has the big gun, but like the boat's bulletproof. Like I love the fact that the boat is Q's boat for retirement, and Bond's just like, I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna take it out on the river and chase this person. And like I love like how Bond eventually goes on land. It's my favorite part of that sequence. It's so fun, like him just beeping the horn, like get it, like to tell people to get out of the way. It's amazing. And I mean it packs a big punch for me. I mean, the stuff with the Swiss banker Lachaise is great in Bilbao. I mean, I agree with you. Like if it had just ended there, I would have been fine with that too. But I mean, I kind of agree with them though too at the same time, where it's like they needed something a little bit bigger, and I'm glad that they went a little bit bigger in that regard. It's one of my all-time favorite action scenes in Bond. That is my favorite Bond vehicle. I'm sorry. It's so cool. Like so many iconic Bond moments: underwater, adjusting the tie, him going on land, him hanging from the hot air balloon. It's all great. It's amazing. But nothing is as good as my number one. What is your number one though?
My number 1 is The Spy Who Loved Me because nobody does it better than The Spy Who Loved
Right?
Me.
That's a good reason.
Pre-title sequence is so good. It's the best ski scene in any Bond movie. He shoots a guy with a ski. It really comes down to it starts off in such a way where, it's classic Bond. He's with a woman. He goes down the slopes. It sets up Agent Triple X, and
Yeah.
it all leads up to, I think, the most impressive stunt in all of James Bond history, which is the
Yeah.
dive off of the cliff.
Yeah.
To this
Him in the
day,
Union Jack parachute.
it takes my breath away.
Yeah.
That's so long as he's falling, and you just hear the
They
wind.
do linger on it for quite a
Yes,
while.
because you need to. It's such an impressive stunt. You focus on it and you watch him just drop, and you're just like, what's about to happen? And then you get the Union Jack pops out and the music plays, da da da, and it's
Mhm.
just the most iconic opening, the most classic opening, the most impressive stunt that just takes your breath away, and then you're launched into Nobody Does It Better, one of the best James Bond songs.
Yeah.
So to me, it's amazing. Every time I watch it, I'm always Spy Who Loved Me is like one of those movies I really like. It's high up on my list, but the opening is so good. I couldn't place it any lower than one. I'm like,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
so good.
The I couldn't place this one any lower than one. GoldenEye.
Mhm.
Yeah, GoldenEye. Like, dude, like for everything you were saying, like I just love the It feel like how you were saying. It feels like a classic Bond mission set in the Cold War, and it essentially like has to like not just the movie itself, but this sequence has to bring in a new generation of audiences for Bond.
Yeah.
Essentially, this sequence has to prove that Bond can survive past the Cold War, and that's exactly what the sequence does. I love a lot of. I mean, the bungee jump is iconic stunt. Like the fact that I don't even know if the cameraman bungee jumped too, but I mean, Jesus, like all the footage like that's a long shot of that guy bungee jumping. Like the fact that they
Yeah.
keep Pierce hidden in like the shadows, and like there's like that scene where you only see his eyes.
His eyes, yeah.
He has the greatest intro in here. Beg your pardon, forgot to knock. you know,
Mhm, mhm.
but like also, this is the most quotable pre-title sequence. It's so much fun. It is so good. Like
That's
Sean,
a door, Alec. That's a drop, Alec.
you can't win.
Captain.
Yeah.
Hold
I,
your fire. You'll blow the gas
yes,
tanks.
thanks. I love that. I love that little part too, where that random like soldier gets a little too trigger happy, and then Orban was just like,
I have questions about that scene. Does that man actually die, or was that a blank?
I don't know.
Because then he shoots Alec, right?
Yeah, that's true. You know, I mean, they probably thinking about it now. That's actually, I, I think he misses Alec. I think it's implied like they pull away from it, but I think it's like kind of implied that like he probably shot next to his head or
I
something.
always assumed it was a blank, but yeah, maybe he just
Yeah.
shot away from
Yeah,
it.
it was either he switched him out for blanks off screen or he just shot near his head and made it look like he died. But yeah, like you have throw down your weapon and walk towards me. You got 10 seconds. How original. You know, like just there's so many little like moments like that. Like and then after Aromo says he can't win, like he hits the thing on the conveyor belt, starts shooting all the tanks and all that. Then he goes outside, and you have an even crazier stunt than the bungee jump. That looks like it was definitely filmed on a green screen, but it doesn't look like it. Like it's
Oh yeah.
GoldenEye for me. It's not just because of the video game and because we grew up with it, but like that opening is just so iconic. That's what I think of when I think of Bond openings. It doesn't do anything like big. Like I feel like the action in GoldenEye isn't like too crazy except for the tank chase. Like it's a very low key Bond. It's really setting up what feels like a classic Bond adventure. It's kind of like how I view Skyfall too. It's not really an action movie. It's more of an action thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything about it's so good. Yeah,
Mhm.
I freaking love GoldenEye's opening.
And I mean, the opening also had a lot on its shoulders because it's really the only time in the movie where they can establish that Bond and Alec are like best friends.
Yeah, and that there's other double O agents that can go on missions with Bond. Like
Yes.
we've barely really seen that. Like we've heard about was it Thunderball or that he was in the
Well,
room with they had the
Thunderball, he's in the room with them.
yeah,
The beginning of Octopussy, one of the double O's gets killed as the
yeah,
clown.
yeah,
Then you had the Living Daylights. There were those double O's
yeah.
with him.
But
Uh,
they're not like there though. Like
no, you don't get a sense of his relationship.
right, exactly.
Whereas this was the first time where it was like, oh yeah, these guys like each other. Like they're
Yeah.
buddies.
And then, but like lo and behold, like, hey, there's like a super villainous like thing going on with Alex Trevelyan, how he had this whole thing staged and planned from the beginning.
Yep.
So, and just like that scene also just introduces so many iconic characters like Trevelyan, like Aurormov. I mean, Brosnan as Bond is amazing in that scene, amongst a whole sea of iconic characters from that movie. So,
True.
yeah, that's my number one, man. I thought
Okay,
did you think it was gonna be World's Not Enough?
no, I mean, I thought GoldenEye probably because that is such a good one.
Yeah.
Like, and for me, like World's Not Enough. Like I said, I like it a lot. It's just I think it does drag a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
All right, so that's our ranking of the pre-title sequences. Still better. You didn't hear that. I didn't say anything. Pat, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at this Pat guy. My YouTube channel Agamotto.
All right, you can find me at my official website, alexmaddenmovies.mystrikingly.com. All my social media links are there. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex. That's Pat. We'll see you at the movies somewhere.